Warning! The following video may contain spoilers for some of your favourite shows. Just remember that before you continue. Stevie, out. Is JJ Abrams behind the member berries? Before I start today, I am on a mission to get to my first 1,000 subscribers. So if you are watching this, please hit that subscribe button and turn notifications on, please. And I will repay you with some awesome gaming and anime based content. This week, I am breaking the review into 4 sections. It's going to be a little different to how I've done the reviews in the past, so please let me know what you think in the comments. And as always, if you want the full story on the episode and what exactly happened, go and watch it. We start this week with Mr. Garrison's side of the story. Mr. Garrison is struggling to find ways to turn people against him when one of his advisors warns him to be careful about mentioning women, as this is the hot topic at the moment. Garrison is on this like a junkie on a tenner. He goes to make a speech, but instead of his usual political posture, he comes out more like a stand-up comic. He pulls out a cigarette, shirt's undone, a bit sweaty, and he starts off with his usual slaying into the Mexicans, the Muslims, but then he goes on to the women by proclaiming he stuck his finger in a woman's asshole at the airport, but that he would never stick his finger in an ugly woman's ass. This, as expected, offends the women attending the speech, and they start to leave. Garrison then goes on to make a very good point, in that South Park way that only they can do, where he said that the people were happy to follow his craziness and blatant racism with no real issue, but now he's said something against the women, they think he is a monster. And to be honest, South Park are really good at making points this way, and again they made the point that, like in the real world, a lot of people will follow Trump's madness until he mentions women, then it's a no-go. But I continue. After Garrison's speech, his team is obviously freaking out. Garrison is sitting and basking in the chaos. He loves it. He thinks he has finally found a way to lose. But he is not able to enjoy this win for very long, as it seems there is an angry mob wanting blood. He goes to tell the mob, well, you know, it was fixed anyway. But the angry mob instantly see through Garrison's attempts to lose. This turns into an episode-long joke with Garrison being chased back to South Park. The people want blood, and we will hear more about Garrison later on in the review. We go to school now. At school, the situation is nearing breaking point, with Butters and his supporters engaged in a non-violent gender war. To try and fix the situation, Cartman and Heidi are doing their best to bring the school back together. At first, none of the kids believe Cartman until they see the love fest, which is Heidi Man. That's what I'm going to call them from now on, by the way. Heidi Man, because they are one unit. Heidi has a super smart idea to bring the school back together by helping the Danish raise money for trolltrace.com by making Danishes and selling them in the same way that kids sell cookies for charity. Grudgingly, and looking past the sickening love fest which is Heidi Man, the kids make a ton of frosted Danishes and try to sell them to the town. But by the time they get to selling them, the Danish have already been made a laughingstock by the trolls. More about this in a minute. During this whole segment there is an awesome song. It's time to come together as a school. You cannot beat Cartman singing. It's absolutely awesome. It is at this point we get to the member berries. So as we said before, Garrison has been running, and he's running and running and running, and he's run all the way back to South Park. And his running was doing no good until he came across an open door. The open door was South Park Community Centre, where Randy has been holding his member berry support group. It turns out that Mr. Garrison has never even heard of the member berries, but Randy begins to fill him in on their history and how they date back all the way to the fall of the Romans. Randy goes on to say that it's the member berries that have caused Garrison to do so well in the polls, as they have stopped people thinking logically and they make them crave the good old days. He makes his point by illustrating the Force Awakens and saying, look, it really wasn't that good, we are just remembering the old ones, which leads Randy to say who he thinks is behind the member berries. The man who wants everyone to remember the good old days, JJ Abrams. Is it JJ Abrams? Who knows? Who knows? Who knows? Lastly this week, let's cover the trolls and their trollish activities. The trolls have assembled under the guise of a Rape Survivors Anonymous group at a local hotel, and they are hiding there, learning from the sage-like advice of Skank Hunt 42. After elaborating on how he thinks trolling should be done, Skank Hunt has an idea to troll Denmark off the internet, which leads to an awesome parody of the Death Star run from the first Star Wars, as the trolls are setting up and making sure they are in the correct position, and then boom. With the help of a few fake tweets, the trolls say that Lego is linked to ISIS, and they manage to make an absolute laughingstock of Denmark to such a level that the world's news pick it up, and the Danes have no option but to take themselves offline. The Danes at trolltrace.com are reeling from this attack. They are at a low ebb as the trolls have beaten them into submission until they receive a VHS with an offer of help from someone else who is offline and who wants to take the trolls down. That someone else being Eric freaking Cartman. And end. This week's episode, as expected, had a lot more on the Garrison and the Memberberry stories, as well as bringing the school to the brink of civil gender war again, after Heidi Moon's attempt to bring them all together failed miserably. Also, we have the revelation that J.J. Abrams may be behind the Memberberries. The revelation that J.J. Abrams may be behind the Memberberries is an epic swerve, but for me, I am asking the question, who is behind J.J. Abrams? This was a great episode. Go and watch it. Remember and hit subscribe for more content, and I will be back very soon. Majin Stevie out.